welcome back to Cineclub channel. Today I am finally doing a video in real life with a YouTuber you probably know. This is Rhiannatoria. Hi! So we've been spending the weekend together and we thought it would be a terribly missed opportunity if we didn't make a couple of videos together for you. Now, for my channel, I wanted to start a series, especially with YouTubers, called Loose Endings, where we talk about movies that have ambiguous endings and we can decide the theories of how it really ended, if there's really any concrete ending that we've missed. And which movie are we going to talk about today, Rhianna?
We're going to talk about Birdman.
The most ambiguous ending she could think of, actually, was her idea. In general, you like Birdman, right?
I loved it.
Yeah, I love Birdman too.
Loved it.
And I do think one of the reasons it's so good, apart from all the themes and amazing acting, is the ending. If we've had a very conclusive ending, maybe it wouldn't have been as great. So, Rhianna, do you want to take us through the ending of Birdman? Oh, sorry, before we do that, obviously, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Birdman, you're gonna know everything about how it ends. So, here we go.
Okay, so in the sort of third act of Birdman, Riggan is, during one of his performances, shoots himself in the head because, like, the critics were saying, like, you know, it's not, like, sort of real enough, so maybe, like, he did that for realism, whether or not he intended to kill himself or not.
Yeah.
Who knows? But he shoots himself in the head, he ends up in the hospital, and he gets a visit from his daughter, Sam. And while he's in the bathroom, he sees Birdman appearing to him again.
Yes.
Which he thinks Birdman's sort of gone after he shoots himself.
Yeah.
But Sam has to leave for a bit, and then when she comes back, Riggan's gone, the window's open, and the last shot of the movie is Sam looking out the window. She looks down first, because obviously she thinks he's jumped, but then she ends up looking up, and it's sort of a happy kind of surprise.
It is. Her face is either crazy or happy,
Yeah.
which is almost the same thing. And I think that's where everybody goes, well, what exactly happened?
Yes.
Another thing that happened was because he shoots himself and misses, he shoots his nose.
Yes.
And they have to reconstruct his nose. Apparently the play was a huge success. It's going to run forever, I think, in this theater. And he has succeeded in what he set out to do. He succeeded. And you'd think he'd be happy, but then we have this ending that we don't know what it means. The part where everything gets a little weird for me is when Birdman shows up.
Yeah.
Because when the scene starts happening, Sam comes in with flowers, he talks to his daughter, everything seems to be really great, and we get the idea that Birdman is actually gone.
Yeah.
Sort of like a Fight Club kind of thing. He's gotten rid of this, alter ego or this past that he hates. But then when he goes to the bathroom, Birdman is there. And so I'm never entirely sure if that's an ending of like, okay, we've separated, I'm no longer this character, the superhero, or if it's like, I'm never leaving you alone.
Yeah.
And so that's the part where I don't know.
Yeah.
It could change Riggan's perspective or decision at the very end.
Yeah, that is true. I always thought Birdman was like kind of part of his mind.
Right.
Sort of like a ego or super id or whatever, those Freudian things are.
Yes.
I just thought it was like part of his brain sort of thing. So first of all, when I thought he shot himself, like Birdman was gone, so everything seemed okay, and like everything was gonna be fine and everything, and then he obviously appears again, and I thought, oh well, he's not over that part of his life.
And
still.
Will he ever be?
Yeah, it's still sort of lingering, but you think because he's now got success that he can finally get over his like past as an actor, but that gets me. But then like the last shot really gets me, because I'm thinking, well, how is she looking up, or what is she looking at, sort of thing. Is he just transformed into Birdman and he's flying across New York? Or
very possible.
There's also the theory of the last shot and the first shot, because the first shot of the movie is like this beach and there's like this meteor sort of flying across the sky, and some people think it's like a loop where Sam's looking up at this meteor and he's sort of turned into it, I guess.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like she's looking up at the meteor and the story kind of starts again.
Right.
But that's a very far-fetched theory.
I mean, it's Birdman. He's floating in the very first scene he shows up.
That's true.
So I think there's no reason to think anything is too far-fetched. We could really think anything. And I feel like Iñarritu kind of wanted that, for you to just go wherever your mind would go. That's the thing. Her final shot is either of complete happiness of seeing her father be who he was supposed to be. But then I think, because we've seen Birdman sort of in a bad light throughout the whole thing, because we're looking at we're looking at it through Riggan's eyes, which is like he wants to get rid of Birdman. It's like plaguing him. It's a curse. He wants to be a serious actor, but he has this past of being the superhero, and that's what everybody expects and wants from him. So for him to suddenly become Birdman, would it mean that he failed?
See, I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's what I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't think about that, because if like he had become Birdman, was he always supposed to be Birdman?
Was he? And again, you could see it both ways. Did he finally embrace who he is, or did he just succumb to what's fame and what people wanted from him?
Like, Birdman is sort of like the devil, and he's sort of...
Right, yeah. It's what keeps you, well, how would you say? Like, it limits you. It's what's limiting him. But again, there's that scene where he goes flying all around the city, and Birdman says just like, fuck it, just be what you are. And it's like the first time we see him kind of not necessarily happy, but like transcends being a human, sort of. So I think it completely depends what the audience thought Birdman is for him. You know, it could be who he really is, or it could be the thing that just won't let him be. So that's when Birdman shows up at the end. I think he kills himself. Like my first thought, and I think a lot of people's first thought is that he kills himself. Yeah. And it's Emma Stone's reaction that maybe gives you that question mark at the end. Yeah. So do you think he killed himself, or do you think he was already dead when he shot himself?
I think that when he shot himself, he was already dead, and everything that happens after that is like his like some sort of, well, not dream, but sort of maybe from Sam's perspective more than from Riggan's perspective. I see. But then that with the scene with Birdman in the bathroom, that kind of wouldn't make sense, because Sam isn't aware of Birdman sort of thing. So maybe it could be Riggan sort of making himself believe he's still alive. But then you could say, like, when the window's open, he could have jumped and killed himself, thinking, you know, like, Birdman's still here, I don't want to be alive anymore. And maybe Sam's just looking up in sort of denial.
Which could be another thing that people have said. I mean, they don't really say it, but there is sort of a connotation of mental illness. Yeah. It's so weird, because you could literally watch that face of hers again and again.
And never know what it meant.
Yeah, it could be surprise, it could be denial, it could be happiness. And that's the other thing. Technically, I mean, almost universally, flying is a symbol of freedom, of independence. We never see it as a bad thing. The fact that she looks down but then looks up and is surprised, it's generally a good thing. It couldn't possibly be a bad thing. She's not looking at the camera, so she's not looking at us. She's literally looking at something flying around. To me, that's a good sign. But again, it comes back to me knowing what the hell Birdman means in the movie. What does Birdman mean? And I think it completely depends on how you look at it.
I feel like maybe Alejandro Gonzalez Iñarritu doesn't know either.
It's very possible. You know, I feel like that. I feel that way about a lot of movies that end with an ambiguous ending. We're like, oh, these directors are geniuses. And it's very possible they were like, I have no idea how to end this. I'm just going to leave it up to you. And that could go either way. Some people find that amazing. Sometimes I get a little angry, because it's like, you shouldn't give me this responsibility. Like, it's your responsibility. What would you want it to be? Like, what would be your perfect ending, knowing exactly what happened?
See, I love ambiguous endings, because I like sort of trying to figure things out for myself. But at the same time, I'm sort of not satisfied with knowing like a definitive ending.
Because you want to figure it out, but you want someone to tell you if you're right or wrong.
Yeah, so if AGI was to come out and say, look, this is what it is, I'd be like, okay, that's okay.
I got it, or I didn't get it, you know?
I also love theorizing, so, you know, it's great. But I kind of think maybe the shot just before, maybe like the last shot, like Sam comes back and he's still there, sort of thing. Like, there is some form of happy ending for him, since he's gone through so much in this movie, and especially for Sam, because she has had to cope with her father and his mental illness and her own issues and her mother and everything. So like, in all of it, I feel probably the most bad for Sam as a character.
I don't remember very well, but I think it is the first time that she looks at her father sort of in awe at the very end, if she is looking at him. And I think that is important, that all throughout he's worried about what people will think about him. He's worried about coming back. He's worried about how the critics and the audience will react to his play. And we don't bother to think about what would his daughter think about him, you know, and how important it is what your kids think about you. So maybe that's sort of like the final acceptance that his daughter does love him and does.
That would be nice.
Yeah, and looks up to him quite literally, you know? So that could also be a thing. Also, isn't he looking at birds outside the window? I kind of don't fully remember that.
He might have been, you know, like Sam might have just been looking at some nice birds flying by.
But he saw birds, and then hold on, I'm gonna look for the actual final scene,
Right.
just so we're not totally speculating.
Not fake news.
Okay.
From rewatching that,
Yeah.
I feel like I have a completely different, like,
Me too. I don't think it's negative in any way.
No.
I remember one of the things I loved about the movie is that every time he went through a bit of an episode with Birdman, the drums come in.
Yeah.
The solo of the drums. And that happens at the very end as well. Like he is looking, and he's always looking up.
Yeah.
It never looks like he's considering actually jumping to die. It's like, I'm going to join these birds and fly as well. When she looks down, you don't see her looking at anything specific. She's like searching to see if she finds him. Doesn't find him. So I don't see anything negative in that ending at all.
No, that feels like a definitive.
It does,
You know?
right?
But also you could like factor in maybe like the mental illness. Like he's thinking like, I want to be free, I want to be with the birds. And he's convinced that he's going to like fly out the window, but
Doesn't.
in real life, you would just drop on the floor.
True.
And she'd be searching. And the way she did look down for a while.
She did.
So I don't know whether like she saw it and just chose to
It's very
ignore
possible.
it, and then she thought, well, she looked up and thought, well, now he's up there, sort of thing. I don't know.
It does seem to me like he's free. Like he achieved everything he wanted, and he's completely free. Whether that means he's okay with dying or he could actually really fly, I think that
You seem like a lot more optimistic than I do.
I am more optimistic now. That's
I'm
so
a
funny.
pessimist.
No, and it's very possible. It's very possible that in his head he's like, I can do everything. He really couldn't.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what we see throughout the whole movie, that he tries so hard and it's not working out.
Well, that's the first thought I had when I first watched it.
Okay.
And then like I watched it on multiple viewings and like read theories and stuff. So I feel like people have got into my head.
Yeah, they could.
But on my first viewing, I had exactly the same thought. Like, you know, he's accepted it and he's become Birdman, and Sam's finally sort of happy with that. So
But now that you've seen it again.
now that I've seen it again, it can go so many different ways. I hate it. It's like every time I watch the end of Inception, I'm like, oh my God, All right. But with Birdman, I just think it depends on how you view the film as a whole.
Yeah. And life.
Yeah.
I think
and
that's the
life as a
cool
whole.
thing as well. The movie, the ambiguous endings really show how you feel about life.
Mm-hmm.
Are you pessimistic? Are you not? Or are you like very objective and need the clues to lead you to a conclusion, you know? So that completely depends. All right, guys, those are our thoughts about the ending of Birdman. Let us know, what are your theories? What do you think really happens in the end? Does he die? Does he not die? Does Sam go crazy? Let us know in the comments section. Rhianna, if people want to go see your videos or talk to you, where can they find you?
I am Rhiannatoria on YouTube. It's hard to spell, but you'll find me. She'll link it below, I guess.
Right here. Like, right here. Also, we are filming a video for Rihanna's channel, so I'll leave the link below so you can go see that if you want more of this beautiful magic. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button, and I will see you on our next movie date. Bye.
Bye.